Come on, guys. Really? My ego was completely shattered. I was playing with razor blades earlier today. Really. They can come back and tell us what we did wrong even before we did it.
If you want to call it racing, he was out there during the race.
Okay, so you're learning from him then, obviously, by your excusatron that you've got wound up pretty tight.
No.
I got exactly 0% of the volts. Welcome to Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. Oh, you didn't push the intro button? You didn't want to do the intro thing, Logan?
I don't have many buttons over here because they got taken away.
Oh, okay.
So.
I've got buttons. I got my favorite button right now. It's like this. Yeah.
I knew that was coming.
Welcome to Tech Talk Taco Tuesday number 206. My name is Jimmy Lewis. This is the show where we answer your motorcycle and motorcycle product related questions. Logan is pushing the buttons tonight. Jimmy Tyler is here to tell me that most of the stuff I say is wrong.
Yeah, right. Hi, guys.
And I didn't.
Happy to be here.
I didn't get a chance to get a good tequila before the show, but I'll have to do that during the ad break. I want to watch the show kind of like live. I like to look at it, and I can watch lo-fi hip hop radio, beats to relax and study to. Spooky background jazz music in a cozy autumn cafe for Halloween, or I don't know what the other thing is, but we're not ranking on the live thing right now. It's a bunch of there's some of those sports things.
YouTube Live or something.
Yeah, I'll have to go
YouTube,
find my own channel or something like that. Here we go. Look at this.
There, boom.
Got it. Bingo. Okay, now I got to shut this off so I don't have to listen to myself. It's the hardest thing. There we go. Okay, so I have notes. You have notes with questions on it. Of course, this amazing show would not be possible without the help of some good sponsors. Of course, we have Yamaha. I put up the WR450 Stage 2 modifications video just before we came on the show. So that's done. I'm going to do WR250, the WR250F test video will go up real soon. Of course, we get help from Moto. We are pushing the Rooster Endo a little bit farther, I think, into the future. We're stacking up the cash for the winner of the next one.
All right.
It's gonna be a fat bonus check for the winner of the next one. Although I just haven't had time to collect the submissions and stuff, and I know people have submitted, but if you've submitted in the last 3 or 4 weeks, I don't know that person is actually paying attention to their submissions. So if you're like listening to the old shows where it tells you how to submit, that's probably the wrong way to do it. So because I haven't seen any of them, but I'll tell you the new way when we get stuff going. Of course, tacomoto.co, they don't make a whole lot. They have a lot of stuff. They make tunes for ECU tuners. Yeah. So, and all kinds of knickknacks. Of course, there's Scott Sports, Climb. Oh, I got some Scott Sports stuff. It's in a product testing section. Climb, DDC, Trail Tech, Fasst Company, Bulletproof Designs, Double Take Mirrors. And, of course, you can support us by clicking through our Support Us button on dirtbiketest.com. So we'll see who's in the chat right now. I've owned 3 dirt bikes, and the WR250F is my favorite so far. It's a 10 for 10 machine, says Flynn 825. So not biased at all, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's listening to the show because we talk about Yamahas. I rode a KTM 500 a whole lot last week, and then I got to ride my WR450 just a little bit. And it's funny how that bike, my 500 was set up for like long, like full kind of semi-light adventure because I was doing Rebel Rally stuff.
Yeah.
And then get on the WR, and it's just like a full race bike in comparison, which is pretty cool. Some news, Kurt Caselli Ride Day, December 2nd at Paula or Fox Raceway, if you are into doing that kind of stuff. And see, look, now we got Beto Moto Gear. Beto Moto Gear wants to be in my live video.
Uh-huh.
Yep. Well, you have to send me an email.
Beto.
Yeah. Send me an email. Jason Gertie Gardner's on the. He's a guy I used to ride with. You know, I got a picture of a place we used to ride to. this rock. They call it Hercules Finger, but it looks like something else. I'll show you a picture of it.
Sweet hog.
Yeah, maybe out in the middle of the desert. But thanks for joining in. If you're watching live, if you're live on the Instagrams and you want to switch over, we're on Facebook and YouTube. Not really on Facebook.
Do YouTube just because.
Yeah, go to our YouTube channel. We're live over there.
I'm on YouTube or Facebook.
It's working.
It works, but
it wasn't. Yeah, maybe you know how some people say that they're watching the show and they go, "Hey, I can't hear the sound."
Oh.
And then you find out that their volume wasn't turned on. And meanwhile, we're over here like spinning knobs and clicking buttons. And you know what I have to say to them? It's going to get old real quick, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, so other stuff on the show tonight. We'll talk about testing the WR450. Maybe I'll call Trevor because he just released his modified 450F videos. They're starting to come up. Get on the thing. We got some comments on those. I rode with that countershock. So we had Nate Looney, who's I don't want to call him the inventor of a countershock. He's the inventor of the countershock, which is his product, but he's starting to work with inertial dampers. And we had him on the show last week, and he kind of explained what it was doing. I put it on my KTM 500 that I was riding on all those rocky roads and stuff on, and it does make a difference. And I told Trevor he should have one on his 24-hour bike. Actually, you guys are building a 24-hour bike.
We are.
Do you have your room on your fork clamp?
Of course.
Oh, you should borrow this thing. We should peel it off my bike.
Yeah.
And you should borrow it. What bike are you riding, by the way?
Beta 390s.
Okay. Good. So Jimmy and who else? So
I got we got like the geriatric team, me and brother and a bunch of guys just out to have fun, and then some of them kids over there, they're doing another team.
So you have an over 50 team, over 40
Most
team?
of us are over 50. There's two 48-year-olds and the rest are over 50.
Right. So
we got a couple really good riders, and then guys like me.
6-rider team or 4-rider?
6.
6. Okay.
Yeah.
Pussies.
Yeah, I know.
No, the pro teams are. I think when we did it with a dirt rider, and we did a industry team. We were able to do industry. I think we did 6, but I was usually when I raced it, it was 4 riders, and that's hard.
That's probably pretty hard.
Like you're going to ride 6 hours in the course of 24. You technically, if you split it up even, you're going to ride 6 hours. It's not the 6 hours of riding; it's trying to find some downtime in between, because even though you should get like 3 hours off, essentially, if you're doing hour rotations or something like that, it's not enough to kind of like go to sleep.
No.
And nobody really wants to do double duty. Although we had some interesting cycles that we did, because some of us I liked riding at night, and I could do way longer stints because it's usually pretty hot. It used to be a little bit earlier in the summer. So right now we're talking about the Glen Helen 24-hour race, which is, I wouldn't say the original 24-hour race, but it was one of them. It was one of the ones that's been going on for a while. And it's kind of a whole interesting thing. Oh, Trevor's calling in. Hold on a second. I'm probably getting all the information wrong.
Here comes Trevor.
Yeah, hold on. Hey, Trevor, you're going to make me hang up on the Instagrams. Give me that little clip over here.
Trevor Hunter, everybody.
Yeah, I'm going to plug Trevor into the phone here. Trevor, you're live on Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. Can we even hear him? Is he
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Now I can. So all the people on the Instagram, which I'm going to hang up on right now, just watched. They probably got to watch my crotch as I installed this phone.
Oh, that's the show right there.
Actually, why did it get so dark? There's probably too much data going through it or something like that. Okay, I'm hanging up on Instagram. You guys are going to have to come to our live channels. See you on the other side. And now, I don't even think that thing was worth saving. Okay, Trevor. So you obviously called. What did your dad tell you that we were talking bad about you?
No, I just figured. I figured get it out of the way early.
Oh, get it out of the way early. You know you're going to have to beat Logan Tyler's team at the 24-hour.
Yeah, I may not show up now, knowing that. I'm a little nervous.
That's good.
So is the Glen Helen 24-hour the longest running 24-hour or the original one? Do you know?
It's not the original because I know my dad used to race. You probably raced it too. The 24 hours of La Fudd.
Oh, Fudd, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Was a full-on desert race. That was horrible.
Yeah, so it was like 100 miles an hour for 24 hours, basically.
I went down there and watched it once, and at that time I was kind of really wanting to go slower when I was racing. I was wanting to do enduros and different. I kind of was an enduro guy. I just wasn't in the desert racing, and I thought Baja was stupid, and that made Baja look slow.
Yeah.
So yeah, that I mean the average speed there was like near 70 miles an hour.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, it was fast. So, how many times have you won, Trevor?
Just the once.
Just once.
Just once. Not as many as you.
I think I've only won it once.
Really?
Maybe twice. I don't know. Isn't the trophy out in the middle of the isn't the big like display out in the middle of Glen Helen Raceway? Isn't that like doesn't it have everybody's name on it that's won?
Yeah, it has for the first maybe 10 years or so. So I'll go take a look and we'll count out how many victories you have.
Report back.
I do know. I'm pretty sure Ryan Dudak is the winningest rider at that race with like 8 wins or something.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know that. I never would have thought. I mean, I know he was definitely capable, but I didn't know he did it that many times.
Yeah, I know he's won it 8 times. I asked him, and I'm pretty sure at one point someone had said, like Johnny or someone had said he was the winningest rider. And I don't think anyone's surpassed that I know of.
He was probably on Ty Davis's teams.
Yep.
When he got started, and then when he moved over and started doing stuff with Honda, he probably got to be on their A team because he was always one of the faster guys.
Yep.
Cool. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about what you've been up to besides editing videos all day long?
I just flew back from Indiana where I raced the Ironman, or I don't know if you'd call it racing, but I rode in the Ironman GNCC.
Wow.
He's turning into a freaking journalist. like he knows how to just kind of just diffuse the bomb before I even get a chance to light it. Mm-hmm. So since you did race, you rode pro, right?
Professional industry, yes.
Do they have a pro industry class now?
They just have an industry class, which I think they assume you get paid, which would make it professional. But I'm not sure how that works.
Right. I've sent you some money before. You're a professional rider, then.
I've got $1 or $2 once.
Yeah. So in the professional industry class that you raced, how did you do?
I ended up 3rd in the class.
3rd.
So yeah.
And your desert racing partner beat you.
Yeah, he ended up winning it.
Did he actually overall the line? I mean, did he overall the morning race?
No. He was like 20 something overall, 22nd, 23rd overall, I think.
Who won then?
There's a couple sportsman classes that started ahead of us, and then a couple of the faster women pro racers beat him and us, or and me. Wow,
that's man enough. You know, that's man to announce that. You got beat by some chicks back in the woods.
I'm not. Yeah, it would be the first time.
Because you know, I really hate to bring up my racing past and history. Probably not. You know, and it's probably that's why nobody knows this. When I used to ride the industry pro class, I guess it was, and people used to complain because the industry or whatever the morning race was, there were like a lot of ex-racers that had jobs in the industry and stuff, and we would race it, but we would usually overall it. I'd not finish back in the 20s. I
think like last year, Barry Hawk, who's a former GNCC champion.
Yeah, like 6 or 8 times or something. Yeah.
I think he got like 15th or 20th overall. I don't know. I think he was trying kind of hard. I'm sure he wasn't full race pace.
Was he riding his quad?
Yeah, he did.
No, he was not on the quad. He probably could have won that.
Yeah, but I think people are really slowing down when they start doing industry these days.
Yeah.
The last time I did industry, I got beat by Scott Plessinger and
He's kind of fast.
yeah, and this other kid named he was a foreign kid, Jan. He was riding for Randy Hawkins at the time, working for Randy Hawkins, and was also a ISDE guy, super fast. And so I mean, it was a battle. I got the whole shot, and then Jan passed me, I believe, but Plessinger never passed me. But that's how those woods guys, they slither through the woods and you never even see them. But
Yeah.
yeah, good, amazing times. I have a picture of that someplace. It was a muddy one too. So awesome. What did you ride?
I rode a factory Husqvarna. Craig DeLong, who actually won the championship, the XC1 Open Pro Championship this year, I rode his practice bike. So it was pretty close to full spec race bike.
And that didn't allow you to win? Like you're riding quite possibly the championship bike. And so I mean because everybody wants to, they think if they have, because it probably had pretty good suspension, we'll call it factory suspension on it. Yep, it had the factory suspension, and that's what everybody complains about. If they don't have factory suspension, they can't go fast. So
yeah, but the two guys that beat me also had factory suspension, so it's equal on that end.
Okay, so Hayden Hines had, what was he riding?
He was riding Ben Kelly's
350,
one of Ben Kelly's race bikes. He's a factory KTM guy.
And who was the other guy that beat you?
Jason Lawrence, former Supercross racer.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he's making waves at the GNCCs now.
Apparently, yeah.
And what was he riding?
One of the Phoenix Honda bikes, so like the kind of the factory Honda effort out there.
And what is that, a 450?
That I don't know actually.
I believe so.
I think it was.
I think he's riding a 450.
Yeah, he was riding a 450 for sure.
Huh. Did you party with him?
I did not get to party with him. I'm not sure I could keep up with him. I know I could not keep up with him.
I have no idea. I have no idea what that guy does these days.
He's a wild one.
Okay, well so. Did your dad race?
If you want to call it racing, he was out there during the race.
Okay, so you're learning from him then, obviously, by your excusatron that you've got wound up pretty tight.
No. I have no excuses. I have reasons, no excuses.
Well, you just claimed that he wasn't racing either, and you came on saying you weren't racing.
The problem is, if I had won the race, and then that put a lot of pressure on Craig to win the race later in the day.
Oh wait,
so I was kind of trying to do him a favor.
Wait, Craig rode in the afternoon?
Yeah,
for 3 hours.
Yep. Oh no, not my dad. I'm talking Craig DeLong.
Oh, Craig DeLong. Oh, got it.
Yeah.
No, I was wondering about your dad, Craig Hunter.
Oh no, he barely survived the 2 hours.
Okay, yeah, as expected.
Yeah.
Did you talk to him about his training program?
Well, if you ask him, he already trains more than enough, so there's nothing I can do to help.
Is he doing the 24-hour?
Nope, he's retired. He says.
Oh, after last weekend.
He's been retired from this race for a couple years
from
now.
the 24-hour.
The last time he raced it, he didn't get on the bike for his last time. He made Brent get back on the bike.
You taking notes here, Jimmy?
I know.
Have you done the 24-hour before?
I haven't even done nothing.
Okay, good. That's a perfect training. Your training program is you go and get lost out behind your house.
Yeah.
Or tip over and the bike lands on top of you.
All I've done to get ready for this is I've hired a masseuse.
Oh, okay.
And a stretcher.
Uh-huh.
And that's that. I've been golfing.
Golfing. I know a lot of really good pro motocrossers golf, so evidently that works.
Yeah.
Logan, your training program is
good at something.
Ride once a week.
Ride once a week.
Yeah.
These guys are on top of it. So 450, The videos for the modified shootout are up or coming slowly.
Yep, we're uploading the all the individual rider opinions right now, so people can kind of identify with someone and see how they relate to each bike and how they ranked them. Just a little just makes it easier for someone to kind of see what bike they really think they like, just based on the rider opinions, not the overall opinion.
Right. And so the way I always would like to, preface that is when, if you're a taller guy, you're going to want to listen to Brent's opinions. If you're really picky about suspension, then what? Scott? Todd. Yep. I'm great with names. You know this.
Scott Hoffman can be picky with suspension too, though.
Yeah, he's all over the place. Did Scott get to ride those bikes? Did he come out?
He did not.
Oh,
but he's coming out for the KX450 intro soon.
Okay, I had a question for you here that that somebody asked on the things. Oh, where was that one? I can't remember. It was somebody that saw one of those videos and then had a question. This is it. No, let's see. No, next. No. Oh yeah, they said they commented. Richard Diva Otanen. You know who that is?
I do not.
No, I thought he was making a slam on you because he said your next ride is a wheelchair, which is a mean spirited thing to say.
He did put a happy face emoji, but
is that a happy face or a crying face?
He's a dick still.
Yeah, I looked at his YouTube channel and he didn't have anything there. So, let's see, testing. Okay, here's the one I wanted to say. So, some tech guy 666 means he's evil, right?
Yep,
the devil.
Yeah,
Bobby.
So he says the best dirt bike channel around. He says testing after modding is the only way to test that really counts. How do you feel about that?
That's very accurate because obviously every single bike always has to have modifications, right, Jimmy? There's no perfect bike.
Yes, correct. But how do you modify a bike for everybody?
You don't.
Yeah,
you have to modify it for yourself.
Every once in a while, everybody will complain about something, like tires, a hard seat, horrible bar bend, where some manufacturer just really messes stuff up. Very rare these days, but this kind of stuff does happen. And then that's when you modify it for everybody. Then actually what I would do is I would go test. Let's say it was a hard seat, I would try to get a few different seats, put the different seats on them, and then describe how much better or what they did, what the different takes on it were. Because I think the only way you can test bikes is stock. The way that they're delivered, because that's the only consistency in it.
Yep.
So when and I mean I kind of I get where you're going with the modified stuff. You kind of like doing it, and then because you're going to go race them anyways. You're just building race bikes for yourself.
In a sense, yeah.
So you got to modify them. So you got to. And when I take on a project bike, as opposed to doing like a modified shootout, I do the same thing. I just put my crap on it, for lack of a better word, and so I'll you know what I'll do. What do I do? Come on, Jimmy, guess. Start from the top and work your way back.
Oh, we're gonna put flex bars on there for sure.
Right, got it. Yep. Flex bars, a sponsor of the show as well.
Yeah. Often put a Recluse in there.
Not a sponsor of the show, but
often happens.
Yep, that's in a lot of my bikes.
Usually put a gigantic ass gas tank on there.
This is also thing. IMS gas tanks lately. Been putting a lot of those on bikes.
Yeah. Ken does for sure.
Most of the time.
Put Kendas on there.
Actually, haven't had to do that on the WR yet, but they usually end up there. Not a sponsor of the show. Come on, you're missing the golden.
What am I missing here? I know. I feel like I'm totally missing something here.
Steering stabilizer.
Scott's. Yeah, right. And it's mostly Scott's out there. There's every flavor out there, but they're usually Scott's.
Yeah, Trevor likes a different kind, but I like the best ones. Right, Trevor?
Yeah.
Really, you didn't say no comment.
I mean, you like a different one, yeah.
Did you put
You like a different one? I like that.
Did you
Good,
put-
good answer, Trevor.
did you put steering stabilizer on any of those bikes?
Every bike except for the Yamaha, because Yamaha didn't need it.
Every bike can use one. It doesn't hurt anything. I have a Scots one on mine. So you're racing the 24-hour without a steering damper.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Me too, I guess.
That's how good this
I didn't
Yamaha
think
is.
about that.
Oh, you forgot about it. Hey, did that Beta that you guys raced a few years ago have a steering damper on it? Trevor?
Ooh.
And would that mount be in the box?
I'm trying to think. So that we've ridden 3 betas over the years,
Yeah.
and the 2 stroke. Actually, we've ridden four betas.
Wow.
No, 3 betas. The 2 strokes always have had the stabilizer, but I think the 430 RRS is like the dual sport bike.
Yep.
It was literally stock except for tires, and they put stiffer springs in just because they were the heavier riders.
Yeah, I think didn't they ride it to the race too?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the year we did that.
Awesome.
Yeah, they rode to the race.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
So I'm pretty sure. I have to go back and look. I'm pretty sure there was no steering stabilizer on that bike either.
Yeah, as I know, I have a box up there of Beta parts from Trevor. Just dropped a box off. He says this is all this leftover stuff. And when you race a bike in the 24-hour, there's a lot of shrapnel that falls off. So I know I have a large tank for the 2-stroke, and there's a set of wheels that looks like somebody took a sledgehammer to them. Yeah, good times. Well, okay, that was it for the question. Actually, somebody asked about the XT225, 230, XT230, 225, 230, 250. Oh, that thing made it bigger. He says, "Is it a great bike for?" No, that's the other one. He says, "Would someone 6 feet tall and 180 pounds be uncomfortable on this bike? I have a Yamaha Grizzly and really like to stay with Yamaha, but not if it doesn't fit. Never ridden a motorcycle before, so intrigued by the off-road and on-road ability." So I'm just going to say, going in the Yamaha brand and wanting on-road and off-road, you're kind of limited, because I think it kind of it stops at the XT230 and jumps to the Tenere, because they don't make
I think, don't they make a WR 250R?
I don't know if they're still making that bike anymore.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so it's a big jump with Yamaha, but obviously there's a lot of. I responded back to him and I said, at that size and weight, if you're just learning to ride a motorcycle, it's going to be a great first initial. It's going to be easy to ride. You're going to be able to ride; it'll be fine. But you're going to outgrow that thing so quick.
Yeah.
So I kind of said maybe go someplace else. But then on the other side, on the KTM 150, the question is, great for a beginner at 6 feet, 225 pounds?
That's me exactly. No, it doesn't have enough power for that. I'm fat.
Yeah, I kind of. And these are the kind of questions a lot of times you get. Like, guys are just kind of confused about the.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. It's a great question.
Well, the good thing is there's so many different bikes and that kind of thing. But when you're that big, and I just think that whatever they're riding, they want to put both their feet on the ground, and they want to feel like they can really put their feet down. And I always ask people, it's like, do you want to ride with your feet down? and then when you weigh that much and you're asking a little engine to do it, I mean, you can ride a bigger bike that doesn't weigh that much more. You know what is probably 15 pounds to go to a 350 or a 500.
Yeah. Or even just a 250 2-stroke or 300.
Yeah, bikes are physically the same size. Like, the handlebar seat relationship. They don't squish down as much. But the minute that squish down that makes you feel comfortable, because I can put my feet on the ground, is going to make the bike work horribly. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a strange thing where I kind of applaud them for wanting to get more of a quote beginner bike, but as soon as you learn to ride, you're going to want to upgrade. and I always say don't buy too much motorcycle because that can be a little bit of a problem.
They're hard to catch up with.
Yeah, you got your bike, and now I'm going to modify it. I'm going to start modifying it, and you're just modifying a pig. It's just something you're not going to be able to get what you want out of it. But then again, don't, if you're going to get something that's like small and beginner, get it, use it, and sell it, and then buy. Don't modify. That's my thing. Just leave those things alone, or just find an older used. The used market is full of stuff that's probably pretty good. And then on that KTM 150, how is that compared to the KTM 150 from 2019 with a carb?
I've never ridden one, so I can't say.
I've ridden one a little bit earlier than that, and I haven't ridden the new KTM 150. I know there's been some changes. I rode the original fuel injected one, and I thought it just extended the power band, 500, 800 RPMs lower where it picks up, and then seemed like it let it rev a little bit longer, but didn't make as much power. Is the only thing I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a carbureted one, I think that's what he's asking. Most people feel like the carbureted one makes more power than the fuel injected one, because when the power does come on at that much higher RPM, it feels stronger. But the other one doesn't make the power down there, so the transition is smoother. So that's a fuel injected conundrum across the board. This is why people say my carb bike had more power. It's because it didn't carburate, then it hits.
Yes.
And where the other one actually, it has a smooth transition to that hit, and then the whole time you're thinking, and carbs make power on top for sure. So, okay, that's all the questions I think that involved your
quick question, Trevor. Have you ever tracked your miles on the 24-hour? Like how many miles it is?
We've done, I think we have. I want to say usually around like 650 to
okay.
I was going to say
that was
miles.
Right exactly where I was guessing.
Yeah, 650 is what I remember when we did it.
I was quick math. I was doing 600. So okay.
Can your bike make it? No problem.
Well, I don't got to do that many. I'm not as fast as him. You gotta think like me, man.
Okay, so you're thinking about 550.
Probably do around 500. Yeah, I'll be happy with that.
Okay. Any sage advice for the Tylers here? They're heading up their 24-hour teams.
Oof.
Should we have tried the 4 or the 12 or anything first, or not? A week ago decided to do this?
Just go big.
Mm-hmm. I can promise you, I know how to have fun at a racetrack. After that, I don't know. But
what are we doing for lights?
I guess
I just got a Squadron Pro on there.
Okay.
Or I'm going to put on there. I was going to put on tonight, but I came here.
So you're getting good advice.
Yeah. I'll get on there. There's all day during the race to put it on there. I'm kidding. On
the website, we have we had like a beginner or first timer team ride last year.
Right.
Ooh.
And everyone kind of wrote about how their experience was and kind of some tips or what they would have wish they would have known. Going into
Logan should be over there searching for that right now and putting that link in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but
I'll move that.
He's over there on
his slider for that.
What do you got going there? An OnlyFans account, or what's your deal? I'm clipping.
Other Jimmy. Whoops. For
the other jipping. Oh, so I drop his mic down a little bit. There we go. You're sending that information over the internets. Okay. Well, thanks for coming on, Trevor. Tell your dad that I'm really disappointed that he's teaching you how to not show up as a racer. I expect more.
Time.
Are there any? Are there a lot of good teams at the 24-hour?
I know there will be at least one other team that'll be pretty tough to beat. So, other than that, I'm not too sure. Because
every once in a while, doesn't just some group show up out of nowhere. I mean, Pro Circuit used to bring a bunch of pro motocross guys out and do stuff. But is there anything like that anymore?
And at the 10-hour, KTM had all their factory guys riding just a stock XC durability testing. But I know the factory guys, they'll be in ISE, so they won't be there. But I'm pretty sure the R&D team, in some capacity, has plans to race it. So I'm not sure exactly who the rider would be.
That would be a great event to, if I were doing R&D, and especially if it was stuff that you can't, you're not testing like a real prototype, but you could have parts and things like that. That's a great event to just go beat the crap out of something.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Okay. Well, with that, have a good time. We'll look forward to your 24-hour tips afterwards.
Yeah, hopefully it goes good.
Who's on who is on the dirt bike test team?
Myself, Clay Henselfeld, and we're currently looking for a fourth rider. So if you want to race, Jimmy,
you're looking for a fourth rider.
Plenty of time. Who was your second rider?
Who flaked out?
And kind of backed out.
Who
today.
did?
Chance Fullerton.
Oh, okay.
Well, he was on it the last time we raced. Last time we won, he was on the team.
Chance Fullerton did.
Yeah. And what about Heinz? What's his thing? Too slow?
No, he's not a night rider.
Not a night rider. Got it.
Huh? Yeah, he has like vertigo or something at night, so he can't really ride at night. And
since your guy flaked out at the last minute, you weren't able to go around at the GNCC because there's lots of dudes back there.
For a plane ticket, so if TBT has a budget, and maybe we can get something going.
Your credit card works as good as mine. Call Randy Hawkins. Give Randy Hawkins a call.
If I knew him that good, I would.
He's super cool. He'd probably have some young kid that he knows that would just be a ripper. You'd probably put him on a plane and send him out here just to have him learn something. So
yeah.
Well, right on. I heard if you're at Racing Effort Suffering, you can go on, what's that? Pay me?
OnlyFans?
Fund me.
Go
fund me and beg. maybe you can even get enough money to get a business class ticket. When everybody else flies coach. Okay, Trevor, I'm going to let you go before I get myself in trouble.
All right, sounds good.
See you, Trevor.
Okay,
good luck, buddy.
See ya.
Bye.
Okay, that was Trevor Hunter. He's the other 3/4 of Dirt Bike Test. I don't really do much anymore. I just do this podcast and make a video every once in a while. In studio here, we've got Logan reading up on the 24-hour tips right now.
Kinda.
This will be your first one?
Yeah, my first 24-hour.
Yeah, and TJ's over there next to you. He can only hear half of the discussion.
Yeah,
it's going on. You know, there's like an extra headphones here. Oh, okay, thank you. Yeah. Have you done 24-hour?
No, I haven't.
Nope. Are you on his team?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. You're the main rider.
Yeah.
He's the endurance guy of our
endurance guy. Got it. You better have him read those tips too. So we're gonna start hitting our questions here.
All right.
What else? Oh, I know. I was gonna you got some chat ones? Yeah, bring them in. Answer the chat ones, or ask the chat ones. Jimmy will answer them.
Yeah.
Should Yamaha bring back the W?
There's a 90% chance Jimmy will answer them.
There is, yeah.
Asher asks, should Yamaha bring back the WR250 to compete with the KTM 300 XCW, or does the YZ250X fill that position enough?
Yeah, that's not a. Is this not a comparison? I don't. The 300 stands alone, in my opinion.
Well, it's a three. You said 300 or 350?
300.
It's
all
300
two strokes.
We're talking about two strokes. The 250.
I'm guessing.
They had a WR250 two-stroke. Well, a long time ago. Right?
Yeah, so YZ250X is they're not gonna make a WR. I mean, that's a long gone thing. I mean, like the WR was the enduro bike. You know, it was like it came with a headlight. It did come with. Did it ever come with a headlight? The two-stroke. I know we used to put them on. You know,
I think it did.
No, it did. It actually came with the headlight because I remember we used to always put them on. It had the ignition stuff inside of it. I didn't know that it actually. I can't remember that it actually had the stuff. But no, there's no chance. And really between 250 and 300, it's kind of torque versus RPM. I wouldn't say that a 300. I mean, you can make a 300 like way faster than a 250. It's just you can, but then they start working more like a 250 and they're not what they're supposed to be, that kind of rideable, and they get a little they turn into an open class bike. There's a reason why, as much as everybody would like to believe, that 500s are gone. They were hard to ride. They were really fast in a very short power band. And then they vibrate when you got a piston that big, it's flopping up all the stuff. But the 300 just starts moving into that territory where the 250 is a very ideal size 2-stroke motor. In fact, I think that in reality, like a tamed down 300, which what a lot of the fuel injected ones sort of are, I mean, just by nature, that's ideal. But if you start letting them get aggressive, I rode a KTM 300 SX that had the adjustable, the electronic power valve on it, and they said, ride this. Because we were complaining, the map should be a little bit different. Make one a little more aggressive. They go, well, ride this. And I rode that. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, that's what this thing will do? I'm like, yeah, put that map in this bike. Just because in America, we want this. I mean, it's completely not usable. It was a little bit over the top. And they were like, no, we can't do that. I'm like, oh, you should. That should be map 2.
That should just make it that. So, that's what I think they should do with maps. Super
hard to ride. Really bad at lap times, but really fun.
Even on a motocross track.
It was at Kuya, and it just you couldn't go around a turn properly because it'd snap and take it out of the line. Snap. I mean, if you finally got it straightened up and there was really good traction, like it was loamy. It was awesome.
Right with the 450?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Easy with a 450.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and very sudden, but it was unrideable.
Yeah.
So, okay, next question. So, they're all good.
Finn asks, you mentioned that changing the muffler on the WR450 makes a big difference. If you're just a casual trail rider, is stock good enough? You don't ever have to repack it, and it's quiet.
So you really don't have to repack 4-stroke mufflers that much in general. Someone was asking me the other day. They said, "Hey, I'm going to repack my muffler." And I'm like, "How many hours on?" He's like, "Oh, like 50." And I'm like, "Don't touch it, unless you're running like a known loud muffler and you're really stuffing it with some sort of sound reduction type of end cap that just traps the heat, then you probably shouldn't have to repack a 4-stroke muffler unless it's a big open. Actually, it's not really the opening that matters, it's the perf core. And most of the perf cores, because they found that having a big open perf core is also isn't as good for flow, where the smaller perf core, which actually preserves the life of the packing. So that's why the mufflers are getting a little bit longer. But no, it does on the WR or any bike that's like an EPA compliant bike, something that passes 82 decibels, I think is the EPA off-road sound test. It's very, very quiet. 82, 86. Chris Reel could probably tell us exactly what that is. But those mufflers have mechanical dampers. They're very heavy. It doesn't really use the packing to do the sound thing. The FMF uses the Q uses a mechanical damper in the spark arrestor and also in the tip. And that's why I think it makes the bike really rideable. It does on that bike. The Yamaha WR stock muffler on the 250 and the 450 are, I would say, stock with that pea shooter in are ridiculously restrictive. When you remove that thing, they're, I would say, quite restrictive. And so just going to a muffler really does change it. And it changes it so much. If you just leave the standard map in there and you put the muffler on it, I have to tame the power back down because it's not a, quote, off-road power band. It kind of goes into a motocrossy, kind of racy, and especially with the ECU. The ECU is just like an FX, and the FX is aggressive. So yeah, it makes a big difference. But like this weekend, I'm going to ride the WR when I teach class. I'm putting the stock muffler back onto it because for that, it's quiet, it's tame, it's easier to ride. It's all good. I'm not doing sand hill climbs or sand tracks or anything like that. So, yeah.
You are?
I am.
I've been to very few classes where you haven't done what you said there.
I was gonna say you do all
Sand
that
hill
stuff.
climbs?
Sand hill climbs.
There's no hills
like
here. Little
Sand
sand hill.
tracks.
You could coast up those sand hills.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah, they're not like hill climbs. Did you watch the video of me riding in the dunes, Logan?
I did not.
Oh God, can never get the kids to pay attention.
Huh.
Yeah,
These guys.
really? Okay, next question.
Facebook users asked, "Are you familiar with anyone on the East Coast worth mentioning that does basic classes for enduro beginners?"
Not off the top of my head, like for beginners, but I know there's Rich Lafferty, who's Mike Lafferty's brother. I know he has some schools back there, and he does focus kind of a little bit on racing, but I have seen him do kind of entry level classes before. I've seen it kind of pop up on some of his feeds. I don't know if he's teaching currently, but the best thing to do is to go to motorcyclecoaching.org and search there, because they have a website that it's by region and stuff, and so you can type in and they'll put a list of the instructors are all kind of certified in a certain way. It doesn't mean they're a good coach. It means they're a safe coach. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
That they just, they make sure that they know, you have some medical, a little bit of medical emergency training, and you don't have a felony record. So, speaking of that, I need to work on I get my recertification going here.
Really?
Yeah, it's time to.
It expires, huh?
It expires every 2 years. I have to re-up all my certs and stuff like that. So, okay, next one. What about the 24 muffler looks smaller? Maybe they no longer have to comply with EPA on the Yamaha WR. That is incorrect. I think they've just found out how to package everything a little bit tighter on those. But it might be a little bit smaller, but not a lot. Yeah, you should be having these like all ready to go. Because the best thing in a podcast, Logan, is silence. Like when I'm watching it, it just goes down to nothing. That usually means people are clicking off.
I'm just going to read it all. So,
okay.
Lauren Baxter says/asks, "I have bought a used CRF 450L as a light ADV bike to build my skills off-road. Normally I ride a T7, been riding hard 2-track. Slower, rutted, and rocky terrain. Maybe better suited for a 300 TPI.
Would a Steely flywheel weight be good for the bike? Is a Vortex ECU and a Yoshi exhaust." So he's talking about the Honda there. And he split his question. That was one. That's why it said 1 of 1 and 2 of 2.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And he split it in half there. I know.
This guy's a Sharpie.
Yeah.
Or gal. I don't know.
Okay, so once you start modifying with all these different things, Vortex ECU, Yoshi exhaust, can I do that? Can I do that? Like at that point, you've left the building as far as me being able to comment on it, because inside that Vortex ECU, you could have Billy Bob's super mega horsepower map, and you could have a Taco Mike map, and you could have a this and a that, and we don't know. And so, and that will counteract any positive or negative of a flywheel depending on how it all works. Same thing with exhaust, like which tip is inside of it. There's so many factors, and that's why people have asked me, it's like, hey, can you help tune this ECU, or can we build a tune of the ECU? And I go, yeah, but you're only going to be able to sell it with exactly, everything from the air filter to the tip of the exhaust has to be exactly the same for that ECU to work the way I would ever sign off on it. If you change the air filter, it can have an effect that's going to go all the way through the thing. So you're kind of down this thing. I don't I don't think on that Honda that a flywheel weight is a bad thing in general. Just we talk about that bike kind of globally. But I found that doing something to the clutch, and we have some stories up on our 450X and 450L on dirt bike tests. We talk about some of the clutch testing that we did. I'm of the opinion that doing something to the clutch will have more effect than the flywheel, regardless of anything else you've done to the bike. So hopefully that gives you some stuff. And Aaron Jones pipes in with Ryan Young, 6 times national champion, has a trials enduro class at the Trials Training Center, along with other locations on the East Coast. And I will tell you that Ryan Young is a good teacher. He actually came and took my class.
Did he?
Yeah, he came out here and he just took it to come and learn
Teaching
some of the stuff, just different ways we were teaching. And what a cool, super cool guy. I've bumped into him a little bit back when I was a journalist, when he was doing the trial stuff, when he was national trials champion. And he was actually kind of curious because it didn't make sense to him that there was adventure bike riding techniques. and he knew we were getting a lot of adventure bike guys, so he kind of wanted to see what those adventure bike riding techniques. And he comes to my school and he goes, "You're teaching a lot of trials techniques." And I go,
Yeah.
Guess what?
Guess what?
Because they work.
Yeah,
Because that's what it is. So Aaron, thanks a lot for reminding me of that. I should have known, but I'm only using 2 brain cells these days. And he's just looking for rideability. A good choice is Gregory.
But he does say, would a 300 TPI be a good light adventure bike? I say no to that as an adventure bike.
No, a 2-stroke never adventure bike. Never adventure bike. I mean, there's always
450L is a better light adventure bike. 2-stroke, as he says, it gets rough for him, which may be better for that. But
right. A 2-stroke is a trail bike. Like you're going riding on single track trails, and the gnarlier the better that bike shines.
Sure.
Once you start getting on like fire roads and stuff, then okay, now we open the door into 4-strokes. And yeah, maybe you could ride your Tenere on the fire roads, but if they get nasty, maybe the Tenere is a little difficult. In the the Honda would be able to kind of span those gaps. But yeah,
for light adventure, I'd say the Honda.
And we're having problems with spell check, evidently. You should try talking. It's even worse.
Me?
No, me.
Oh.
Yeah, me. Like talking. I can barely even pronounce that.
Yeah.
Pronounce the word. Oh yeah, you're trying to hold it back.
Yeah.
You got to answer these questions? Let it rip. So, what was he looking for on the
1-up or 2?
What does B Falco 71 want?
He wants to know if you need a Cush thought. All the Aussies on YouTube seem to say that you need a Cush hub on a 500 EXC for dual sport.
Do I have thoughts? Well, the good thing is the Aussies are the ones that have just been annihilating us in the comments. Love it, because they're in the future.
God bless them, fellas.
They're in the future. They listen to this program in the future because they're a day ahead, and somehow they can come back and tell us what we did wrong even before we did it. So we actually had a couple of them call in when we had our
What's a Cush
chat.
hub really? Is it save transmissions or something like that?
So yeah, Cush hub, it does exactly what the Cush drive. You don't want
Or like
a
downshifting into like on when you got traction, asphalt type traction.
every pulse of the piston, every time that piston fires, bang, and it starts pushing down, that's a shock. It's a very sudden when it hits when the flame front hits the piston, it's bang, and it's a jackhammer.
Sure.
And it goes through the rod, it goes through the gears, and at some point you kind of want to dampen it out. Of course, the rubber of a tire or the slip of traction for some people was enough. And in the old days, there was no such thing as Cush. But as bikes got more powerful and they started, they would wear the faces of gears on road bikes, they started putting them in the clutch. So generally the clutch has a damping system.
Yeah.
Aside from the clutch actually slipping itself, like most modern clutches are designed to slip ever so slightly.
Yeah.
But they have dampers like the Hondas and Yamahas and stuff. They all have springs in the back of the clutch basket, and the KTM's have that rubber damper system inside of it's a wear item. But on some of the dual sport bikes that were derived off of, especially these 4-stroke singles, they were putting cush drive hubs, and like the Dakar bikes would have cush drive hubs, and it's just like one extra added kind of cushion. And do you need it? No. I mean, if you're going to be riding on super high traction or pounding hoops, you might need it. But I don't think it's necessary. I ride mine all the time. I have some cush drive hubs.
Yeah, on your 500s.
On the 500s, but I don't put them on. I mean, it's just another wheel to me. And I did a lot of kind of dirt road riding, not really pavement riding, but a lot of dirt road riding this weekend. I didn't go looking for a cush drive hub. I just put the wheel on. So I don't think it's just like anything. It's something to complain about.
Yeah. I know the trannies last a pretty long time without them, right?
Right. Yeah. It's
a really long time.
They wouldn't be selling them without cush drives if they thought there was a problem, because they don't want to have transmissions grenading and stuff like that.
There you go. That's a good way to say that.
Any other ones on the chat that we need to get into?
Gregory asks, looking at a 24 beta 390 RNAs coming off a 17 FE Husky. Then says, just looking for rideability, good choice.
I know someone that can answer that question.
Oh, 390 RRS.
RRS or RRR? Yeah, okay.
Space.
I got a RE, yeah.
Yeah,
same
thing.
bike. Yeah, different. I love that bike. I absolutely love that bike.
I noticed.
Yeah, I absolutely love that bike.
And it's funny because all you did was complain about your KTM 2-stroke.
Which ones? I've had 10 of them.
Well, it was kind of collective.
Yeah.
It seemed like it progressively got worse, though.
Yeah, it did. It did.
And I thought the bikes were getting better. And you seem like they seemed like they were definitely going the wrong direction.
Going away from where I liked.
And so we went riding last week.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago or whatever it was. And you look like a whole different rider on that bike.
I do.
Do you notice this, Logan?
He don't ride with me no more, but
Oh, you won't ride with him?
I think he's afraid I'd beat
What,
him.
you don't want to run him over?
I think he's afraid I'll beat him now. Since I got my 390. I think he's afraid I'll leave him.
Yeah.
I
so
do.
he rides it way better. He just looks
That bike is quick.
He looks like he fits on it. He just like where the KTM, it looked like you're kind of like hunched up in a ball or like kind of crooked.
Yeah, it does fit me better. Yeah.
And I don't know if it's like like
the motor characteristics are fantastic. I mean, it would be for a 4-stroke hard to ask for much more, in my opinion. You've said before 400s are a nice number, and it's basically right there.
Yeah, and I think although KTM has really upped the game with their 350 and the torque and the bottom end torque, I've always thought the 400 was just a better engine size. And then when I rode the KTM or the Beta 390 a while back, I was like really impressed. And so yeah, it's kind of one of those things. If you can get a demo ride on it, that's the best thing. Or you have a buddy. Mm-hmm. You have a buddy that can ride one. What was that?
Notification.
What, the computer's going to blow up?
No.
My show's going to end abruptly?
And that's what the 350s. And I haven't ridden one for I think 18 was the last 350 I rode. And it did not have a bottom end like the 390.
Yeah.
It just didn't do when it comes to the really hard technical stuff. It would stall easy. And things
right.
like that.
It's steely flywheel. Although a Streely. That's the way it's. Streely flywheel.
Steely's, I know
it's
those.
Steely, yeah.
Steely,
Derek, so he's running the company. It was his dad's company. He used to work for us at Dirt Rider. He was we did this kind of editor challenge. We needed to hire somebody, so we did like a reality TV show-esque challenge through the magazine. And Derek was he wanted to race more than he wanted to be a magazine editor. Sound familiar, like Trevor?
Yeah. Where do you ever find a guy like that?
Yeah, I don't know. But like the motivation is there, but then when the racing overtakes. But yeah, so the question is, flywheel weights are interesting, just like clutch weights, or increasing the going to a heavy tube. There's all these things that affect kind of the rotational stuff on the motor, and when they get spinning, what they do. I was always a big advocate of flywheel weights on smaller displacement bikes, but not on bigger ones. And so when you go to 450, to me, that's like a bigger bike. and I always want to reduce the rotational mass in there. And you think about it, the crank's part of that flywheel. It's connected directly to it, and so you're just increasing crank mass, and because that weight gets so heavy as the bike revs up, which some people want and some people don't. But I think there's enough in there on a 4-stroke, and the benefit you get at low RPMs is so counterproductive when the bike starts spinning, because it makes it hard to maneuver. You almost, and I ride 4-strokes at low RPMs. So because I don't want that extra effort I have to put into, I'd rather click it up a gear high and have the bike more nimble. And I don't think people think about a lot of this, a lot of this stuff when they do it. But does it help with traction? It's not as much. It depends on what RPM you're riding it at. If you're riding a really low RPM, it can actually be kind of counter, because it like big motor. It's like the pulses are accelerating and decelerating. So engine is running fine, no stalling problems. For traction, I would look someplace else for traction. And a lot of times it's something as simple as gearing, or just and a lot
Maybe
of times
like a 120 instead of 110 or anything like that.
Well, tire. I mean, all the obvious stuff, tire pressure, just things like this. It's funny, you're talking to somebody and they may be running 18 pounds in their tire, and I would I would never run 18 pounds in my tire. I mean, like 14 is like a max for me on an off road or a dirt bike. And then it's like, just do that. And they're like, they want to get in thing. Or you're talking to someone who has bought a ECU that was tuned on a dyno, and they never ran it below 4,000 RPMs in the dyno, maybe 35, so from 2,000 to 3,500, which is where they're riding the bike the whole time, it's running kind of like an on-off switch.
Yeah.
And then, but he's not stalling. So I'm kind of going that's not a problem, but traction, at that point, I'm going to go with more tire, suspension. Think about that. But if you're turning your throttle and all of a sudden the bike's spinning, quieter muffler usually helps. I mean, that kind of slows that kind of stuff down. Sometimes the pole wheels, like a G2 throttle tube, can make a big difference.
Yeah. That's a good suggestion.
And Gregory's going to go the beta demo ride in January is for me. Yes.
There you go.
And a lot of times those demo rides are pretty cool, because a lot of times they don't advertise it. But if you go to a demo ride, they collect all your information because they want to send you stuff. Sometimes they'll give you like $100 or $200 off, or like some sort of a discounted deal. Or you go to the demo ride, then you can get like some stuff when you buy the bike. Because at that point they're confident in their bike. They know they've got you. They're just going to put one other nugget in front of you. So if you're thinking about buying a bike and there's a demo ride in your area, I highly suggest doing it. And if they have different models, from the same brand, of course, but try a couple different models, because maybe what you were thinking isn't the right one.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're 6'8" and 250 pounds and wanting the KTM 150, maybe you hop on the 350 4-stroke and go, I can't believe that this was my bike. I can't believe I can hold on to a 350.
Right.
So, Troy Hicks says the KTM 350 secret sauce is a 366 big bore kit, EXC crank, and XCF top end. Okay. That sounds like a lot of work. Mm-hmm. Why don't you just ride a 350? At that point, buy a 390.
There you go.
then you have more than 366. You have 390.
That's a crank and a different. Oh my God, that's a lot.
Actually, because the show is sponsored
but
by.
That's cool to know that somebody figured that out.
Because the show is sponsored by Yamaha, and I'm a complete shill to all of my sponsors, I would suggest that you look at a Yamaha YZ250 FX at that point, because there's no way that you really need to be looking at a lighter bike. I don't know how I'm going to sell this. Get a Yamaha. Actually, you should just get a Tenere. Can't say enough good things about the Tenere. Like the Tenere T7. We got some questions about that. Where they're going to come up in our second hour.
Sure.
So, do we answer most of the questions that went through the chat, Logan?
So far, yeah.
Rapid roulette
there's one more
chat questions. Okay.
Do we want to do it or for when we come back?
Gregory says, cool, I dig merch. Well, speaking of merch.
We got merch.
We have a Tech Talk Taco Tuesday t-shirt that's completely designed. Everything about that t-shirt is 100% ready to go, other than my janitor can't figure out how to make the form work to make the t-shirt buying process a little bit easier, so that the guy who works in the shipping department
That's you, right?
can, yeah.
Jimmy fills all those blanks.
That makes it, all work. And he wanted to go riding on the day he was going to work on all that stuff. So with that, Gregory, we will try to get you some, help you out with the merch. Hit the merch button. Were we going to explain the high speed and low speed compression on the shock?
That's the only other one.
Do we have an hour? No, that is on. So Dave Donnelly, I do have that on my notes here that we're going to hit after this. So for sure, are you ready to hold on 1 second, Logan?
Oh, I have a button for it.
Oh, you don't have a button for that one. I'm in control of this. I'm fully in control of the show now.
Yeah, I don't have a button at all.
Okay, everybody. These are the most important words you're going to hear.
The defending champion, the all-new Yamaha YZ450F.
What's up, Moto Buddies? Mike here from Taco Moto Co. What is the Taco Touch? It's the best service in the industry. Virtually 24/7 tech support via email or text, and it's like having a dirt bike doctor on call every day of the year, helping you fix your bike or recommend parts or setups for you. If you've ever received an order from us, you know that the Taco Touch extends to our fulfillment, and our orders come with the coolest stickers that you've ever had, buying parts from anybody before, and a handful of root beer barrel candies. All of our Taco Moto Co. branded components come with a no questions asked lifetime warranty, and we'll even extend out the warranty of other manufacturers, OEM, and aftermarket parts where we can, sometimes for life. We test and tune endlessly and exhaustively and obsessively. We're trying to destroy everything that we can before you get your hands on it, to look for weaknesses and to improve it, or to make recommendations to the manufacturer. And if it's something that doesn't meet grade, then we don't offer it on the store. Everything that we carry is something that we have personally used, tested, and ridden, and raced, and knows meets the high Taco Touch demanding standard. Go out and get some adventure.
Okay, welcome back to Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. Thanks to all of our sponsors that are supporting our show. We couldn't do it without them. Or, I mean, I wouldn't do it without them. Actually, every one of those companies is really good. They've been good to me. They make good products. I need to call Bulletproof Designs because I need to get some stuff for my WR. But Double Take Mirrors, Fasst Company, Trail Tech, DDC, our original sponsor of this show, Climb, Scott Sports, Takamoto, Yamaha, and, of course, my boss at JimmyLewisOffroad.com lets me spend the time here tonight. If you want, actually, if you're listening to this show and it's not Friday yet, you can become a better rider by Monday. So I had this whole read that I was going to write, but I didn't. If your riding is spooky, don't be scared. Come out and take the class before Halloween.
I promise you won't regret it.
Yeah,
I mean, it'll change.
I'm
Even
thinking,
if you're good or think you're good, it'll change you.
It's not rocket scientists, but what I tell people is nobody's confident enough to teach the stuff that we teach, because the stuff we teach really makes a difference, but we're putting the burden on you as a rider. We're giving you the information, the stuff you need to practice, that unless somebody tells you to do it, obviously you don't do it. And then, hey, remember when some like 55-year-old guy beat you at some race and he hadn't raced for 15 years?
You?
Yeah, me. Yeah, I don't like to talk about my racing much. You're like an A rider. You win A rides.
Yeah, I'm going pro next year.
Going pro.
Yeah.
And some old dude using techniques that he teach. You should come and take my class.
I think we should.
Actually, you can come out and teach. Actually, you got to take the class a few times because I could teach you everything you're doing wrong. Because when I was riding behind you, I was laughing because I was watching how much muscles you were using, as well as hitting a lot of things you shouldn't be hitting because you should have steered around them, but you're trying to go too fast. It's what happens with everybody. Trust me.
Yeah. It's a common problem.
It's a common problem.
Yeah, that's what I struggle with.
But yeah, it's well, you ever heard the term slow down to go faster? Has anybody ever told you how to do that? They tell you to do that, right? Have they told you how?
No.
Yeah, that's what I know.
$1 million question, right?
Because I was at one time I was called the fastest slow bike rider in the world because I was always racing 125s and doing stuff on mini bikes and XR 100s and things. And then I had the opportunity to ride the fastest dirt bikes ever, twin cylinder rally bikes, and I learned that all those techniques I was using on the slow bike I could use on my big bike, and I only had to use half throttle. And then when I had the chance to turn the throttle wide open, which when I moved up from 125s to 250s, I never went over the handlebars so many times because I would hit stuff. I crashed going uphill, going over handlebars all the time.
That's great.
Because like the 125 wouldn't go that fast up a hill, but a 250 would.
Right.
And he just did cartwheels. This is gnarly. So anyways, Victor wants to know, how was your ride in Caliente?
My fantastic, Victor. Yeah, it was good. Did the Axel Pearson, he's going to ISD next week, I think. Did his, benefit ride day and just barbecue and stuff. It was super good.
Yeah, those are those kind of
they
rides.
Had a super great, it's his backyard, so he knows some really good trails there. I recommend if
you know some of these guys that are going to ISD, and of course it's a little bit late
good way
now.
to help them out. They're good people, man.
They'll do like rides, like the Pearsons. They do rides to do that. There's of course, one of my sponsors, Fuck You Racing, sponsors. They don't call it that. They call it the good team with the bad name.
Yes.
They send a team to the ISD every year.
Okay.
Those guys, you can check on the interwebs and find where to buy T-shirts. It may be a little late for that at this point, but ISD is coming up. That's going to be a good time. It's going to be awesome to see the Americans do good again.
Yeah. It's a big deal. It's very patriotic and stuff.
Right. So we're going to start getting into our bigger questions, but not before we talk about the Hot Shoe Hall of Fame. This is Gene Wood's
Place is cool.
Hot Shoe Hall of Fame. This is a hot shoe, and not like the real hot shoe. This is actually one of the shoes. So what he does is he runs it as a charity, and so he buys these shoes and he gives them to the people in need. And there's a lot of people in Vegas running around without shoes.
Oh boy!
And he tries to help those guys out. And so this year, I think they announced the date. It's late January. It's at his go-kart track, which, by the way, if you ever are in Vegas and you're going to go to Fremont Street, hit me up. I can get you a discount for racing, quite possibly the slowest go-karts in the world.
Oh my God, they're not easy to drive though.
It's like super drifting. And
carts,
that night we were doing
Mario Kart, yeah,
Mario Kart, but they're actually not that slow.
No,
they're fast enough to like slam you into the wall pretty hard if you don't know what you're doing.
Oh yeah.
I had the fastest time of the month that night.
You cheater.
No, I didn't cheat.
Cut the track.
No, I didn't even get a special car or anything like that. I didn't cut the track. Fastest time of the month. He sent me the printout. Wow. Like that he took all the ones out because sometimes people do donuts over the line, and he knows what a fast time is. And it wasn't great. Like it was 17.1 or something. I think you could get down to like 16.8, but so I think I'm just start hanging out down there with Formula One coming up there. I'm trying to get my name up there so everybody sees my name. Maybe I'll get an offer to drive a
maybe
Formula
McLaren
One car.
Knock on your door.
Come knock it in case one of those guys, in case the reserve driver goes out. They might.
Yeah.
We got to go ride our bikes around down there, like and see all the BS that's going on.
Yeah.
I saw some videos of some.
I
of
can
the
tell
stuff.
you one thing. I almost guarantee they won't renew that contract.
A lot of locals aren't too happy about the.
Not happy and not buying tickets.
Yeah, so if you're in the island of that, you have to go over like special made bridges just to get into like the casinos that are in the middle of that thing. Yeah. The room prices are going way down.
Everything's going the wrong way that they expected.
Oh boy.
Yeah, when they got what hubris or whatever you call that, they think they're better than God or whatever.
Yeah. Well, it's,
that attitude doesn't always fly in Vegas. We got a lot of good stuff here. You ain't that special.
Yeah. So no, I want to go ride my bike around just to see what is going on because some of that stuff they're building is permanent.
Some Moto wheels on there and have some fun.
Super on my e mountain bike, an e mountain bike. Yeah. Brand new
bicycles.
Payment.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah,
just go ride bicycles around there. So. That way we can get kicked out and it's easy to do.
Yeah.
Dave Donnelly says, shout out to Takamoto for their ridiculously fast shipping. I wanted to add my order 2 hours later, but it was already shipped to me. Add to his order.
That's Logan's riding buddy who ships all this stuff, I think.
Oh, really? Yeah, good. No, Takamoto, takamoto.co. I know. So the reason I got involved with Takamoto is Taco Mike. So Mike Spurgeon. I don't know. Somehow he posted someplace this sort of like this KTM 500 white sheet, and you know me, no modifications, leave it stock kind of guy. And he's talking about all these different modifications, but he did a step by step. If you want this, do this. If you want this, do that. And even though he was selling this stuff, he was blatantly honest about what it did and where you want to go with it. And maybe he understands marketing better than I do, because I don't think in marketing, I don't think honesty is the best policy. And sometimes I'm always a little bit, shy of that. But he's kind of spelled it out. And I'm like, this guy is one of the few people that's selling this stuff, but tells you how it really works. And like he says in his commercial, they go out of their way to do customer service. And I've heard, that they do that.
He's got a fantastic
from
name
people, just like Dave, just like somebody on the show just kind of throws it out there.
Fantastic name around town.
Yeah. So shout out to Takamoto. I think that when we do the Rooster Endo again, it could be a $500 gift certificate.
Really?
I think I'll just keep putting it off till it gets.
Just throw a bike in there, man.
I told you to.
I know.
Yeah. So we'll see if we can get that thing up. Shout out to Mark Daniels, is us in the chat. Mark, today is hold that thing up there. 3 R's. No, not yours. That one there, the one that I've got. Oh, we'll show them both what we got going here.
No, that is some of the best whiskey.
So you got to put it up for I'm going to go to the. Hold on. I want to push the Jimmy button like that. That goes here. But in fact, you're Logan right now. There. Hold on. Yeah. That's so that tequila. It's the 3 R's, imported from Mexico, of course, legally imported in my truck because we had enough people to carry as many bottles that we had
as you can get a hold of.
And then
this, my friends, is good.
How is that?
It's like one of the best whiskeys I've ever had.
So Jimmy is at a Whiskey Aristo. Yeah, and this is Addictivo. So it's actually
that gets a full thumbs up.
It's actually a whiskey that was aged in tequila barrels. Which is kind of
kidding me.
No, this fusion kind of stuff that they do these days.
And you got that down in Mexico or where?
Yeah, I imported it in the same truckload where I had to have an extra body in my truck.
We're going back.
Yeah, but that is some really fine stuff out here. So that's the 50 and Tech Talk Taco. What perfume are you drinking tonight? Is what Victor.
Victor.
Yep. Logan, what were you? So when you guys went out during the ad break, did you slam a couple cruds out in the parking lot there?
Yep, totally.
So, good on you. Okay. Greetings from Argentina, says Jamie Borono. Awesome to hear you guys answer questions. Relatively new to off-road racing. If I start asking things, we would be here all night. Well, I train the best quad rider in Argentina.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. So
Yes, you do.
yeah, Pablo.
Yeah, Pablo.
Yeah, Pablo. Yeah, we're about ready to get deep in Dakar boot camp season. Pablo's not going back this year. He's taking a year off.
Is he?
And but yeah, there's some Dakar training come up. It should be pretty fun.
Yeah, it's here.
Okay, let's get into these questions. We'll start with page 2. Right here, we'll start with this one, and this question is by Steve C39636, something like that. He says he missed the show last night. He was working late. But we didn't have a show last night, but he was talking about something else. But there's his question right there.
Oh, any thoughts on pivot pegs on a trail bike? I have a set on and I like them. They weren't any other quality pegs I could find out there for my bike, and I caught them on sale. Thanks.
So, do you have any opinions on pivot pegs?
Yeah, I actually owned a set once, and here's my take on it. I took off on them, and I almost, when I took off on the bike, weird, hated them, said, oh, try to get used to them, and I could actually get used to them, but I never really saw anything. I got where I didn't hate them, where I could but
wow.
I didn't yeah.
Okay, so.
Well, I got where it didn't go, oh my God, it's weird. I did lose the weirdness of them, but I never liked them. I didn't see any benefit from them, and they always were just proud I could be not weird on them. But.
So, pivot pegs, for those who don't know, is basically it's a peg on a pin. So instead of being functionally locked and not moving, they are on a pin in the peg's pivot. And so the idea is that way you can reach your brake and reach your shifter, and the pegs will move with it. But they're spring loaded, and so yeah. Well, light or heavy. They have different spring settings for them. So my very first experience with pivot pegs was we were doing a foot peg test, and we were just blindly putting foot pegs on, and the riders were not allowed to look at the bike, look at the pegs. You just hopped on the bike and went and rode it. And I hopped on the bike, and the first thing was a set of rollers / hoops. I went in there and I got on the gas to carry the front end, and I started falling off the motorcycle.
That's what I'm saying.
Off the back of the motorcycle, and I couldn't. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
You thought the
and I thought they didn't. I thought they didn't put the pins in. I don't know what was wrong, because I use the foot pegs to index my foot. The angle of the foot peg tells me a lot. And I'm really, really particular about foot pegs. I'm really particular about everything, but especially the quality of the show, Logan. And since you're sitting there,
I just sit here.
You just sit there. Okay, good.
You're the dude that runs here. You push all the buttons.
I do. Okay. So back to the foot pegs. I get distracted pretty easy, don't I?
Very.
Okay, squirrel brain over here.
Ooh, butterfly.
So the foot peg to me, it's like the ground when I'm walking.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to walk? Well, I don't want to say during an earthquake, because a lot of people don't live in California where that happens. But have you ever been in one of those haunted houses where they have the rolly floors or something like that? That's sort of what happened with the pivot pegs. I sort of lost my bearing of where the bike was. And since they rolled back, I rolled back with them, because my feet and ankles are telling me what was going on. And by the time I realized it, I was coming off the back, and I was getting getting a little whiskey throttle.
Same
I'd like
thing
to call
happened
it.
to me, and I got to where I could stop that. Is what I'm saying. But
right, and so now we have clients that come to the school, and I'll hop on their bike and demonstrate on their bike. And if I don't pay attention to it, I get on the bike, and the bike takes off out from underneath me, because I'm using my feet so much. So I'm not saying that they're a good or a bad product.
Is their goal to try to make you so you can get underneath the shifter better, or what? What is the goal of them?
I think that whoever designed it was just somebody who is just like a regular guy that said, "Hey, I'm sitting down on my motorcycle, and when I try to put my foot or I push on my brake, I have to lift my foot up.
More static or something.
When I push on my rear brake, my foot's off the foot peg.
Scary.
You know, I'm you know, or I'm able to, you know, if I'm only just touching the brake pedal, I have enough dexterity at that point to control it, and I'm using my foot peg as a reference there as well. I suspect. I don't think about this. In fact, I was watching videos of me riding with the GoPro the other day, and I realized how much I ride with one finger on the clutch. I thought I was always two fingers.
Wow.
But yeah. So, anyways, you're always learning.
The fast pegs are cool. I got a set of those. I love that.
Okay, so
Impacts,
we'll get to that because I there's nothing I like more than to roll this into a plug for one of my sponsors.
I'm not even trying to do that.
I know I'm a shill for these guys, but you're helping out. It's great. So with I think that the initial thing was, I think if you're sitting down a lot and you're trying to shift, or sometimes that it's hard to get your toe underneath the shifter if you're doing
if you're
these
sitting
big,
down, you're not relying on the pegs as much.
yeah, cantankerous movement, but you don't want to lift your foot all the way off like we kind of do, or we just kind of tap it. They're doing these big movements. So I think it's more of a, I don't want to say a beginner rider product or someone that's not super in touch with their motorcycle, but I don't know of any high level riders that are using these, you know, like really good riders, because I think really good riders determine so much of the feel of the motorcycle through the foot pegs and nothing else.
And that's that, yeah.
And that's that, and that will take some of that away. You're going to lose the fore aft movement of the motorcycle. And then I don't really know how much it actually affects, like when you go to control the bike, because I control it through the foot pegs, how much that it's, you know, you're going to weight the front of the foot peg as you really want to drive down, and maybe the foot peg pivots, and then your angles and because you know, and then if you're a ride on the balls of your feet guy, holy shit, is that a bad idea? Because the minute, if you're on the balls of your feet, the minute you kind of drop your heels, those pegs will let you really drop your heels. And I mean, again, not for me. For some people, like I've known some people that have some really bad ankles, and they said that's the only way they can ride.
That was, I was trying to fix
and I'm like,
Achilles
great
injury, and it didn't help.
Oh, I would think it would make it worse.
It did.
Because you
did
don't,
everything I didn't want it to do.
Yeah. So this is how we just go down a rabbit hole on some thing, a question.
Well, you get older, you kind of try to find crutches to get you back out there, and you know, injuries and things like that, they happen.
But the same thing with just explaining all these different kind of things and how things work. So if you have a question like this and you're in the chat, or we listen to this in a podcast format, send us an email. We can dive into it, and hopefully, the only problem is you have to listen to 2 hours of this crap to get to maybe your question potentially. Yeah. And then I go squirrel brains half the show. Right, Logan?
Yeah.
Are you asleep yet?
Pretty close.
Pretty close? That's good. What time do you have to be at the job site tomorrow?
Swing shift over there.
8. Wow.
Swing shift construction.
Yeah. Swing shift
He's the
construction.
remodel guy, man. He's not a construction guy.
Yeah. Sounds like you need to come out here and like work some hard hours. It's kind of like we have indentured servitude opportunities. Yeah. All you have to do is push on keyboard keys, and then do a little scraping of floors in mobile homes, stuff like that. Remember those days?
Oh yeah.
Change some tires. I have a stack of tires that need to be changed. Know anybody that needs practice?
I haven't pinched it.
Yeah, I know a guy who has a lot of tires. I mean, and you know, some of them will go on your bike too, of course. Did you see the brain just start crying?
Yeah. Look at that. Dude, fresh rubber is always a good deal.
Okay, next question.
This is a rerun?
No, it depends on when you're watching the show. It's the good thing about this is it's kind of timeless. We don't really talk about timely things, so you can learn something in almost every show. And then on those 5 shows where there's no useful information, just say this show sucks.
Yeah,
and if you're if you're in Australia, say, I would rather fanny pack than watch this show. And that would really mean it was bad. I mean, by fanny pack, I mean wear a bum bag. You Australians. You know, I used to pick on Canadians, but they're so nice. So I had to stop.
I don't know where we're at here, because some of these we did with Trevor, right?
Okay, but this guy says we do good content.
Oh, we can do that again. Yeah. Public subscribe best dirt bike channel around. I totally agree.
Yeah. And then
testing after modding is the only way that counts. Yeah.
Yep.
You guys do good content.
You gotta say yeah, I gotta say his name.
Ron Mower.
Ron Mower.
Ron Mower. I like that guy's name.
Hey, Jim,
Yes.
do you like riding on the balls of your feet, or?
No, no, because if I go to the balls of my feet, then I have that as a question from the peanut gallery. You like to say,
Yeah.
So he's asking, do I like riding on the balls of my feet? Although it's not. Can we just wait for that question because he's gotten to the good ones here, like where he's talking about how good. I'm going to ask him to pat me on the back in a second. Hold on.
Okay, we got it.
Now back to your regularly scheduled show. I'll get to the balls of the feet in a minute.
I think
we did that one. You get the next question. So I'll do the balls of the feet question. So here's people say, like, you hear a lot of people say riding the balls of your feet and attack, riding the balls of your feet, attack position, all this. I was always trying to figure out how I could go as fast as the guy who was riding on the balls of his feet and was in the attack position in a balanced and relaxed and comfortable position, so that if something went wrong, I could attack a little bit or get on the balls of my feet. And I've been in this for a long time, and it feels really slow because you have to, what the speed feels like when you're kind of in this attack, but it's like, if you're doing it right, it doesn't matter what you're doing, you're still on top of the motorcycle. But if you're all crunched down and you're using your muscles, the bike doesn't get as good a traction. And so as the only two things that matter when you're riding a motorcycle are balance and traction. And if you're tense on the bike, if something goes wrong, you're going to compromise the traction. You're not going to allow the tires to react, the bike to react, all this other stuff. So when you're on the balls of your feet, you think about it. Do you walk around on the balls of your feet all day? No. If somebody walked up to you and swung like you're going to punch at you, what do? You roll on the balls of your feet, right? Because you anticipate something bad's going to happen. When I'm riding, I don't want anything bad to happen. I want to be relaxed and comfortable. So when something bad happens, I have the opportunity to do that. It gives me one more chance to catch what's going wrong, as opposed to being in the thing to catch what's going wrong. You have no reaction at that point. You might feel it a little bit better but if you start relaxing and learning to feel the same things you would, like, turn on your sensors as much as you would when you're like this, because that's what happens when you go like this. Extra sensors turn on. If you learn to pick that kind of stuff up through, we'll call it the center of your foot, the arch of your foot, then it all works out. So
Great
free riding lesson. That's we teach this in www.jimmylewisoffroad.com.
Good stuff there.
We'll make you a better rider, promise.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh, there is the bike. Okay.
XT230.
XT230.
It's actually 250.
Oh.
We asked that one.
Did we?
Yeah, we asked that one too. Go to the Tenere 700 question.
Let's do some T7 stuff.
T7s, Yamaha.
This is Ollie Christopher 467. Jimmy, I pay as much attention to your riding technique as the review and tech on your build. I have to say you practice what you teach in the school.
Listen to this?
Yep.
Get off your phone. Listen to this,
Former
kids.
student here. The stuff I practice from what I was taught has helped me immensely. I have slowed way down practicing balance and lots of braking drills. Riders really should take note and practice using the foot dab instead of paddling. That's for sure.
Especially on an adventure bike with panniers on it.
Yeah.
It's broken tib fib.
That's the big boxes in the back.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That's why, like, when I'm going to do something gnarly on the bike, I prefer to have soft luggage. I really want to have soft luggage because sometimes just you end up putting your foot down and the bike's moving and it goes back, and it's like, just think about it like a pillow versus a sledgehammer.
Yeah. No, definitely. Those things scare me to death. I don't even have any of that
right.
stuff.
And so I
see people riding them in the desert and I'm like, oh my God, that thing scares me.
And in all honesty, this is the stuff I think about when I go ride. I'm not like worried, can I ride through there? I ride up to something and I go, I can ride through there, but my bike has hard panniers on it right now. I'm going to have to be way, way more careful, which means starting and stopping a lot, going very, very slow. And it's like, do I really want to do this? I'm not, at that point I go, I may not be on the right bike. Where I see people think, they're just like, I'm going for it. And they haven't even analyzed any of those things. Mm-hmm. So, okay.
Yeah.
Was there a question there?
Not really.
Oh, it's just gratuitous praise?
Well, he was telling people to pay attention, man.
Yeah. I mean, in that video, it's funny because when me and the kid who used to help me out here that was on that video, when we were, watching over some of that stuff talking about that, he was like, yeah, you really do what you teach. Kind of what this guy is saying. Because there was a couple sections where he was on the cove when we were going through there. He was struggling with some of it. And then he was watching what I was doing, and he's like, we need to shoot videos of this because because we were talking about doing more online class videos and stuff. It's like, because you're doing all the stuff you teach. And I'm like, of course I am.
Yes. You don't ever get like too good to do it.
You don't get too good to do it, and
or to not do it, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Well, but like sometimes when it really starts getting bad, and I would catch myself when I would be like riding extreme enduros or just something super gnarly, where you hear everybody revving up and spinning, and I know that's not the right thing to, and you watch the guys that are winning the extreme enduros when you watch the hard enduro stuff. Even it's just the torque that they're getting out of their bike. They're not spinning. And then you watch the 7th place guy, who's a really good rider by far.
He's a badass. Yeah.
He spins. Yeah. He spins it. He just doesn't have that technique. And then, so I get stuck on something and I catch myself spinning. I just put my WR450 up and I rode through this little rocky uphill chute and I saw myself spin a couple times and I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
That's not you.
Like I said, when it gets technical, you stress out and the bad habits come out.
Yeah, it's easy to get tense. That's what it's weirdly easy to get tense in those scenarios, right?
Yep. We're going to answer a chat from the question from the chat right now because Beam Echo just posted something up and Logan's right on top of it. He just yawned straight out of the yawn. What's the question, Logan?
What are your thoughts on modifying a newer dual cable throttle on a KTM 350 to a single cable throttle? Any reason not to go to a single cable?
Other than, let's talk about modifications. Why the hell would we even bother talking about modifications? There's 865 things on my list that I would do in front of doing that. And the second thing on that list would be come and take a class for me. But aside from that, unless you're Mojave Bob. Remember Mojave Bob used to come in here?
I remember that guy.
That was one of his things. He was trying to take weight off the bike. So he would actually he would go to single pole like a two-stroke is. Like old any carbureted bike was, or not before 4-strokes. Because the thing is that the reason they had the push-pull throttle cables is because those bikes had the potential to have enough velocity going in through the intake to prevent the spring on the throttle. They didn't want to have such a heavy pull on the throttle that the slide wouldn't shut down. Mm-hmm. So they wanted you to be able to pull to push. They call it push. It's really not push. You're pulling it the other direction. Oh yeah. To shut it down. And so I think it's more of a safety feature. And I knew this a little bit because I heard about it and knew some people are involved in some lawsuits about sticking throttles in the old days. And the manufacturers were horrified of this because if a lawyer could find somebody who got hurt on a motorcycle and they could blame a sticking throttle, it was really hard. It was really hard to prove it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And then it was like, well, what have you done to prevent this? Mm-hmm. That's why we have push-pull throttles, by the way. That's the first reason. And now with all the electronic stuff, it actually gives it better control, with the throttle position sensor and things like that. But yeah, you can take it off for less weight and one less cable up there. But I will tell you, I've seen guys flip their bikes and rip the throttle cables off. And between those two cables, they were able to make one work.
Yeah, I like that.
And so they had the spare on the bike.
I've never even thought about getting rid of one.
Because in my very first ISD... I'm not my very first. My second one, I actually, because I was on a KTM 125, I actually had a second throttle cable.
Just pre-wired or whatever.
It was set in there, and I could just take it off and put it back in and whatever, because broken throttle cables were a thing back then. So
yeah, that one is good.
There's no such thing as a dumb question here. We answer all of them as much as we can and try to give you the full story. You know, I put up a post in the EXC performance group. I think we're actually broadcasting live to them on the group. So and I said, hey, ask some questions. Zero. No questions. I mean, there all day long there's questions coming up there, and there's 50 answers. And every once in a while, I kind of dive in there and I look at all the answers, and half of them are just people just smarting off, which is kind of what I want to do sometimes, but I try not to because I'm trying to pretend I'm a professional. But it's the range of answers you get. It's just like anything. It's like, where are these coming from? Because I look at them sometimes just to be more educated. Sometimes I'll see something, I'm interested in that. There was one today on shims that were wearing out. And so half of the things were hot cam shims are shit. That was the gist of what they were saying, because some of the shims had lost their hard facing and worn out. I've been using hot cams and a couple other different shims, Pro X shims, different non-OEM shims. I've been using OEM ones too. You can't go wrong with OE. But I would almost bet that the failure rate is pretty damn close. Like, let's say just the failure rate is 0.05% on the worst. Or no, let's say 1.5% on the worst. And it's 0.05 on the best. It's just like anything. There's production tolerances and variances, and who knows whether your oil jet is not aimed perfectly, or there's a little chunk of something that got in there and it's squirting the oil a little bit off kilter from where it's supposed to go. Like, it's not always the shim. And so I kind of see this, but I saw how many people are just bagging on, and I always want to know, I'm like, hey, how many people actually did the homework to find out what like really happened, and then how many people are just regurgitating what they heard? Like, how many of those guys that are actually commenting?
Yeah, their valves just went on a spec, and
they're
had in the guy that they're.
How many of them have actually had a dished shim where the hard facing went out? Or they just saw the one picture that the guy posted, and they're the 6 guys that saw that post and remembered it and reposted. Man. And this is where you got to watch out on the internet forums. That's why you got to be careful watching the show, because I could be giving you completely.
It takes a long time to source out good information.
100% fake information here.
On anything,
right? They also had another thing on there where I was listed as. Originally listed on the post as one of the people who could be most influential in KTM 500 EXC information. I got exactly 0% of the votes. Yeah, 0% of the votes.
Nice.
So just so you know, as a guy who owns 7 of those, maybe 8, yeah. And picked it as the best bike of all time. Come on, guys. Really? My ego was completely shattered. I was playing with razor blades earlier today. Really? Yeah. So, okay. Next question.
Okay. Mike Voskresensky.
Right.
I think I agree with that. Do you find rebound speed pretty balanced front to rear with these settings? Based on number of clicks alone, it seems like rear rebound would be unproportionately faster compared to front. I live in Arizona and struggling to find settings that would make bike feel smooth-ish on washboard, continuous, high-frequency chop gravel roads. I weigh $165.
So he's talking about the Tenere 700. I did a video where I outlined my suspension settings. On the stock bike, 100% stock bike, pretty much just like, hey, after I wrote it, this is the kind of the conclusions I came to on where the suspension should be. And if you look at it just from a number standpoint, I suspect you could theorize that because the rebound was one place and, versus the front and everything, that's just where the bike worked. I don't really, in all honesty, when I'm doing suspension tuning, I'm not counting clickers. I'm just riding and I'm gonna go 4 clicks on that, and then I go, okay, that was too many. I'm gonna come back to
12, 20 out, 5 out, whatever.
When I run out of clicks, or when I find out I'm at 3, on a shock, I'm 3 in or out 20, when it's a 24 click range, I go, probably gonna have to go inside at this point. Rebound. Because I want to be in the middle. I really want to have it in the middle. But when I start getting like 5, 7, 6, 5, 4. Yeah. I'm worried. But if I'm at 7 or whatever, I think 7 would have been the number. It's like, yeah, it's a little bit on the edge, but that's just reminding me that, yeah, next, if I have it serviced or whatever, pay attention to this. Can we throw a shim in there or something to make it work? And this is where a good suspension tuner comes in. But when I'm tuning, I'm not thinking of numbers. The only time I think the numbers is when I go back in and recount it to see where I'm at. Yeah. And if I'm really stilted, and like I say, the whole idea is to keep the bike balanced. And at that point, no, for me, it was perfectly balanced at that point. And by the way, I'm testing some Tour Tech stuff now.
Yeah, I saw that.
Insane.
Really?
When I put it on.
You got it on your T7?
Yeah. When I put it on, it was funny. When I put it on, because I guess it's really expensive. I don't know. I don't ask these questions. All I care about is how it works. Yeah. And that's all I.
Well, you can't really put money to it. It does mean something to some and not the other,
If this had different, if something had different colors on it, people are willing to spend money on it. But this is what I don't care about, and this is why I do what I do. I just tell you how it works. And when I put it on, it did something that was just in, like, I'll call it showroom bounce test. I'm like, okay, yeah, I couldn't see how the one that I had, how it was going to get much better than the one that I had. Mm-hmm. When I kind of pushed on, I'm like, oh, interesting. And so the only thing I have to do now is I have to load the bike up and do a full loaded luggage test to see if the feel that I got unloaded continues
that's
on.
Good to hear.
But yeah, and it's just, there's people that understand things, and there could be stuff inside of it that's maybe a different way that makes stuff work. But that's why you test things, and this, maybe that's why it's expensive. I don't know. Maybe it's got a gold propeller inside of it instead of a silver one. I don't know. Yeah. So, yeah. Robert Lambert wants to know, how many bikes do you own?
I just counted them. There's 177 out there. I'm joking. There's a whole shit ton.
A lot of them. Did you see that Husaberg 650?
I did.
Did you show it to him?
No, it was dark in there. I don't want to feel like we're rummaging around.
My cat will kill you. Just
Selma was on it.
She goes right to the cat just knows how to jump up and there's no claws anyplace, just fangs to the jugular. So, and then I hear her cry and I run out with a gun.
Yeah.
So, you ever ridden a Husaberg 650?
No, I haven't.
Know anybody who's ridden a Husaberg 570?
My buddy has one.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Does he talk about how fast it is?
He talks about how much problems it has.
So he has to work on it.
Yeah.
That's painful. That is a pain. Does he want to sell it? Okay.
Bing, you don't need a whatever.
Yeah, I don't need a 73rd bike. I'm actually trying to sell some bikes. Actually, there's a guy, I think he sent me an email while I was on the show. This thing popped up. Wants to buy my XR 650 that's out there. And I have a KTM 525.
Yeah.
And you know why KTM had to quit making those? I'll sell you one too. I got one. It's premium. I knew this day would come because it's worth way more than they were when they were brand new. KTM had to quit making the 525 because it was too powerful. Because it has a carburetor, and that's why they only make a piddly little 500 now that you have to go get modified. If you want a man's bike,
that thing,
one that'll rip your arms out, KTM 520, got one for sale. Just hit me up. Yeah, Robert. The answer is I don't own very many bikes at all, but my wife does.
Yeah. There's about 75 out there.
We're in that zone, yeah.
Somewhere in that neighborhood.
Close. Yeah.
It is a lot of dirt bikes. Yes.
I think Heather was watching earlier, so I got to be careful what we say.
The word to say is a darn lot.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Jebediah Nightlinger, 6357. Cool bikes. I have a 23 250F, and for the most part, really like the bike. I haven't replaced the stock muffler yet, but I have installed a CCU and a programmable ECU. Haven't really got a map that I really like for the more extreme enduro type of riding. Add fuel and remove timing slows it down, but it also kind of kills the low end grunt. I plan on exhaust, but have also heard the YZF airbox makes a good improvement as well. The suspension on these bikes is the same as a good camera. Just point and click. Let's do the work.
I can't agree more with most of that. But I don't know what the difference in the YZ.
So he's got a YZ, and is he playing with the mapping on it?
So he's got the WR 250. He's got the stuff on it. The exhaust is the biggest thing that you can do that will help this.
Oh, dang it! There's the
it's WR 450.
I guess.
Oh no, he's got a 250.
Yeah.
So I titled that wrong. My bad.
I got you.
Maybe he watched the WR 450 and he's talking about the 250 because I haven't put the video up because I'm a lazy. I'm lazy. I ride Husabergs too much and I have to work on them.
Do those have the backwards motor and stuff?
The 250F? Yeah, it's just like the YZ 250F.
No. This is a YZ 250F.
It's a WR 250F.
So they got WR. It's back.
Yeah,
it's backwards like the motocross.
Yeah, exactly like it. And so I don't know that the airbox really, the structure of it is any different. I think the air filter, they have a sound damper inside of there that you remove when you do the competition ECU.
Okay.
So I think there's different filter cages and different things, but if you have the stock exhaust, the exhaust is your first step. Go to the exhaust, get like a quiet exhaust. I've been running the FMFQ and I'm really happy with it. I've also run just the stock FX muffler on, which is a little bit loud. So I would like something that's a little bit in between. That's kind of the first step, and that will help. Then the tuning on the ECU, especially what we're talking about, adding fuel. How did he say? He said, remove timing. I like to say retard the timing.
I don't know if we can say that anymore, but yeah,
no,
that's
we can't.
what I always
When
call
we're
it.
talking about timing, yeah,
You can't call them slave cylinders and master cylinders anymore.
you can't. What do you call them?
They got other words for them, but you can't call them that.
Oh,
Cooper's dad works at Chevy. He told me, no way, you can't do it.
really?
Yeah.
Holy moly! You know what?
we're gonna have to
Hey, this
fix
woke
that.
stuff
Yeah.
has to stop. I'm still.
Yeah,
you know what?
you think?
When I'm talking about ignitions, I'm
Retarded
I'm
in
gonna
advance.
be your main retard. Me. Yeah, I'll lead the charge.
Retarded in advance. I'll never change, but
Somebody said the other day, I heard them talking about. I can't remember what it was, but it was another word that we're not supposed to use. But it's the perfect word to describe it. And I had a very interesting discussion with a guy that I know about these kind of things, and he got a little bit. I don't want to use the term butthurt, but I am. He got a little bit like that about it, and I'm like, but the description was accurate. Okay, so because the description of him was accurate, but he was doing what was perceived as a bad thing. He wasn't doing a bad thing, But I said, hey, if they described you the same way and you're doing a positive thing, a good thing, would you have been upset at that point?
doesn't have to make sense.
It does. It just bothers me because it's like it's.
You gotta throw logic out the window.
Yeah, to quit being so damn woke. We're talking about motorcycles here, and he
let's do
retarded the ignition.
Yeah, he retarded the ignition, which
So those two things help a ton when the exhaust flows a little bit more free. To answer his question shortly, that would be the first thing I would do. I wouldn't worry about the intake so much because it's not really restricting it as long as you've removed the sound damper that's inside of there. Next question, please.
Here we go. NVMC rider. Publicly
Nevada MC.
Oh, Nevada
Rider.
motorcycle.
Rider 8475. We have 8,475 motorcycle riders
There
in
was
Nevada.
874 guys in front of him with that name. Crazy.
Okay.
Poor guy got lucky. Anyhow, public scribe for use.
We don't care about that part. What do you do?
I have a WR and did all of the uncorking pipe, ECU, etc. And next time I will just get a FX and buy a cooling fan. I agree.
You know what? Depending on your situation.
He's looking for power and
Yeah, and for sure you don't have to do the stuff. If you started with a WR and you have to do these things to get where you want to go, hopefully you're looking for the suspension tuning the WR comes stock with, and you want the headlights and you want the cooling fan, because there's no problem with buying an FX, taking the money you would spend on the ECU and FCU and all that other the CCU, and spending that on getting your suspension tuned, and then paying for like a Trail Tech sponsor of the show,
Sure.
cooling fan.
fan, yeah.
There's
a great fan too. Yeah.
There's two different ways to attack the same problem.
Would you maybe just go more? It's more important to go with one of the two's got a little more aggressive suspension than the other, right?
For me, I think the ability to have lights, because there is a difference in ignition, and Trevor will tell you this. That's what they're working on right now, is getting the WR ignition into their FX to get more. They have a flywheel. They're using the WR flywheel and stator. So if you don't need the lights, it's kind of like a lights question, because kind of everybody sort of modifies it. Eventually we'll modify, or we'll get to the point where you modify the suspension. Of all the bikes everywhere, it seems like the Yamahas are the least prone to just suspensionitis.
Agreed.
The people just seem to be pretty damn happy.
Pretty happy with them.
So I would say, but that's the question. Yamaha makes three very distinct bikes: YZ, YZFX, WR, and they each have
They're pretty good steps down.
They have character. Yeah, I wish they made a WR. We'll call it E. That was street legal. That's the one that I want.
Right.
Just
like a
and really, like, in the one of the only really issues with it, you're looking at like all the different bikes and stuff like it, is just the ability to get a really big gas tank.
Gotcha.
But anyways, yeah, that's I do not agree with him. I do not disagree with them.
Cool.
I just come from the other side of the fence.
Yeah, I gotcha.
I would buy an FX and I'd be trying to make it into a WR.
Yeah. Probably a better way to go. That's what I would try to do too.
Now we're going to talk about the Cove.
The Cove
450.
Were the three Cove 450s that completed the Dakar Rally stock with just knobby tires, or were they modified somewhat?
Oh, I bet you they were modified somewhat. Yeah, it was a factory effort. They were probably not modified to quite make more power. They were modified for durability. And I heard from guys, I know a couple guys that do that. What are they the Dakar Rally? Yeah, I know some guys that do that. Heard of it? that on the transfer sections, like the guys in the coves were riding so slow and so careful, because there's long transfers, and they were just the only goal of that team was to get those bikes across the finish line, and they did it. They did it successfully. They did it within the time limits and all this stuff like that. But they were being real careful. So I guarantee that they were. Them. Yeah, that's a hard thing to do. And from my experience with that Cove that we tested that had a lot of miles on before we got it, when I drained the oil, because I look at this kind of stuff, I'm like, wow, I've never seen a KTM or any other bike for that matter oil come out that clean after that many miles.
Really?
Yeah, no metal, unless the magnet and the oil filter were somehow in their own little chambers where they didn't get any other oil.
Yeah.
Even though the oil came out, it was a little bit dark, but not too bad. And there was a fair amount of oil in it. It was a good bike. I have nothing but good things to say until
where are they made?
Proven different. China.
China. Wow.
Yeah, China.
Okay. Enduro motor Rad 2 Touring.
Right.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for your clear and precise review. I'd try it, but there is neither a German importer nor...
Hold on, read that first part again.
Thank you for your clear and precise review. I try it, but there's neither a German importer nor a Euro homologation.
Damn it. Homologation?
Yeah.
Oh, we should ban you from the show now.
There's lose 2 woke points for that. You'd have to live in the US or UK. What, you guys got crazy rules in Germany? What's up?
They're Florida. It's all crazy.
Yeah. Maybe there would be good news for Europe after the IECMA show in Milan. EICMA. Oh, I've heard about that.
It's hard to, you'd never know that those letters meant that, but I've just heard it so many times.
Yeah, it's a motorcycle show, right?
Yeah.
In Milan next month. All the best. Gunther Nürburgring.
Well, he's Gunther from Nürburg. Yeah.
I threw in the ring because everybody knows about
Nürburgring. Hey, you know the best thing? Let's rub it in his face. You know that the racetrack up here, Spring Mountain?
Yeah, it could be longer than that.
Longer than Nürburgring. Yeah. Yeah. Rock out. Like, what can you do in Pahrump? There's lots of things, including longest road race course in the world.
Come on down, Gunther.
Yeah, come on out to here. We'll ride some dirt bikes too. Just hopefully he has like a really awesome car for riding the Nürburgring.
Yeah.
And then we can bring it out here and we can
I think they give you an Audi when you turn 18 in Nürburgring or whatever. Yeah. I don't know.
So they have, and hey, America, land of the free, man. We can still ride dirt bikes.
Bro.
Maybe not in California, and there's a couple other states got a little bit. They're a little tight on they tighten it up, but that's
Come on down, man.
That's the
Try
cool
America.
thing. Yeah, we can still
Jump in,
have some
pay taxes, all that fun stuff.
good
Come on.
bikes. Yeah.
Bitch about healthcare, whatever else you guys do.
Victor says we
Okay.
should short bus the ignition. Because we're all going to CAN bus ignitions. I guess there's a thing
CAN bus?
You can short bus it. Yeah.
So
Next
dirt
one.
bikes are going to Canvas?
Or
are they there, or-
I think the new,
I don't really understand
I think the new
Canvas, but-
KTM's are kind of there. Yeah, I think they're getting close. The minute they go to fly-by-wire throttles, then you're
there. That's
you're
that.
there. Yeah, you're kind of. I mean, you can do it without it, but that's where you're at. And then
Yeah.
and to meet some of the Euro 5, which is kind of like California.
Yeah,
Euro
the
5 and
carb stuff.
they're all tied in. So to meet some of those emission standards, there's no other way to do it, because if your wrist moves too fast, your bike is going to stall. So they have to control the butterfly valve to make sure that the fueling mixture is going to be
Is
correct.
perfect, yeah.
It's there's still kind of ways around it, but yeah, it's coming there. It's the way it is. Next.
Okay. Levonsky Balby. Probably blew that one. Whiskey's working.
Yeah.
Public described to you 2 years, 12 days ago. What a 180 hours long haul. You fully rebuild it at 80?
He's talking about
Jeff Merlett.
a YZ. That's the next question. He's talking about a YZ 250 video he did, and he just asked a math question.
Okay.
180 hours and rebuilt at 40 hours. And at this point in the show, as you can kind of attest to, we don't need to be doing math.
We're drunk. Yeah.
Speak for
Yeah.
yourself.
No,
You short poured me. You're not like George.
No, yeah, I did short.
No over-sorving. Thanks, George.
Take care of myself here.
Hold on a second.
What is it?
California, not California. Okay. Simple Jack Enduro says, "Hey guys, I'm a big fan of recluse clutches on my bike, but I've always felt that they don't engage hard enough. Is the new 4.0 worth the upgrade over my modded Radius CX on a 250XC?" So I don't know what you've done to mod your Radius CX, but there is definitely a different feel between those. But on the 252 strokes, and I think that's what you're talking about with your 250XC, it's a huge improvement because the clutch spins slower and that roller allows it to engage harder and work better. And for sure, I have it on my 300 now. I did not have them on my 300 because I wasn't happy and I could not get it to engage the way I wanted. So Jack, I think that they have worked on fixing that. And then there is ways you can tune it. I'm running a lighter spring, like always, than they recommend, which allows it to engage and bite a little bit harder, as well as drag a little bit more. So yeah, tell Recluse to they should come on as a sponsor of the show.
Yeah.
Next
Jeff
question.
Merlett.
Yeah.
Question: for a rear tire on a KTM 500 EXC used as a light adventure bike with 50/50 on-road, off-road with tubeless, do you have a recommendation for BDI style rides? I did 900 miles with a Kenda DT, hard direction with 50% asphalt at 70 plus mile per hour, 27 PSI on asphalt and 12 PSI on dirt with the tubeless. I may have made a mistake as that tire should be inflated max at 20 PSI from Kenna's website.
There's a lot of tire pressure information,
Yeah.
but he didn't ask
That
us
guy's
to.
got so much more energy than me. I don't change nothing.
He didn't ask us to add the numbers up or anything or calculate the.
No. So we like him. We dig the guy. Jeff's a good guy.
So Jeff, the answer to that is.
Well, did he have a problem?
I
did he have a failure? Did it wear out? 900 miles? That seems like a long ass time on a tire to me.
I get like 1,100, 1,200 on a
I
on
have
a
no
Parker.
idea, but
So when I'm doing dual sport stuff, that's my that's my mileage. I run 12, 13, 14 when I have a tube in it. Oftentimes I run a Moose. I typically run Nitro Moose. If I'm going to be doing higher speeds, it's a brand new one that's sized properly and it's tight and hard to get on. And but to have the ability to go, I kind of like when the Moose is new, I don't want to go do like technical hard enduro or single track with it because it's just a little bit too stiff. It runs like it's like 15 pounds.
Yeah.
And it's brand new.
I agree.
After 200 miles, it's down to like 13 and a half. It gets good. 600 miles in, it's down to a nice 12, 13. And it stays that way for till about 800 miles. I'm just roughing these numbers.
Yeah.
800 miles, it goes down to like 11. And then when I'm doing the higher speed stuff, it can heat up a little bit more. And when I have good traction, you get the wallow, we call it, where it feels like it's a tire with 10, 11 pounds in it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't.
It's an uneasy feeling. I've never liked that feeling, but
now it's time to go trail riding.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't go out and try to rip hard fire roads. I mean, you can trail ride and you just expect that it's going to move around. I wouldn't want to take it to a motocross track and kind of trust myself going up the face of a jump.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like that feeling, but it's part of it.
So I'm not really sure what the question is.
Yeah, I don't know if he had a failure or if
27
he thinks he should have. But I feel like I'd be fine with 900 miles on a tire. But
and I'm not a big fan of tubeless in like dual sport / adventure situations. I've had some
kind of good at hard enduro type of stuff.
Yeah,
right?
it's really good at doing low pressures, but it seems like when you're doing, especially when you're doing long mileage and you're just that vibration that on the road, it seems like the tire actually loses pressure. It somehow like I would say like burps out or farts out or something in weird ways that you just wouldn't expect. But I haven't done a test lately, but I had on tubeless 1 and 2. I think they're on version 3 right now. On 1 and 2, I had some issues with it, so I just stopped using it for that.
All right.
Okay, next question.
Okay. Asher Petkovich. Question. On my DRZ, I have a stock CV style carb, was jetted for SoCal low desert conditions, but now it is at 3 to 4K feet in Idaho. When the temps drop to the high 30s, low 50s, the throttle doesn't snap back as quick as the bike is running at temp or the ambient temperature increases. It has backfires and pops on decel too, and the bike barely wants to idle and dies quick cracks of throttles. As temps drop to the near below freezing, what should I mess with? But I move back to SoCal. Easy problem.
I'm gonna tell you what it is.
I'm kidding.
You know what it is? Move back to SoCal so you'd be like around all the other guys that have the CV carbs. It is. I like questions like this where I think I can kind of think outside the box and figure out what's going on. I'm wondering if
you're a really good carb guy.
I'm wondering if you washed it too much and somehow got some moisture in there, and those low temperatures and the high velocity is actually causing that water to sort of freeze the slide. Because a CV carburetor has a butterfly valve in front of it, and the slide works independent. It has a spring on it, and the slide kind of goes based on the air velocity coming in. So I'm wondering if there might be a little bit of moisture inside of there, and it's kind of freezing up and causing it to stick a little bit.
Yeah,
there's little things like that. I've heard of that before, but quit washing your bike so damn much. So squirt some, get some WD-40. Yeah. Would work as water displacing, or get some oil in there and see something that would help lube it up and something that would eliminate the water inside there, or allow it to warm up and get warm. Really get the carburetor warm so that can kind of go out there and dry up.
Buy a new cable. Pretty cheap thing to eliminate some stuff off your list.
The slide is independent of the as long as the butterfly is returning on its own and it's push pull.
Understood. Yeah, there's a lot I don't understand about this.
Right. Yeah. So a big modification for the DRZs is to go to a more conventional type throttle.
Okay.
Although there was some kits, like I think JD Jetting and DynoJet made some really good kits for those that worked. Their settings for the altitude and stuff were spot on. But it sounds like if the idle's hanging up and stuff, it's something a little bit different.
Yep.
It's getting past your bedtime, bro.
Oh man.
It is. The show's running a little long, right, Logan?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, everybody here is asleep except for me.
Two more
questions.
Knock them out.
We're gonna knock it out.
Dave Donnelly, suspension question. Yes, please explain the high speed and low speed compression settings. How do they interact, And what's a good baseline settings?
Dave's probably asleep too, but I'm going to go ahead and do this for him because he's probably, if like everybody else,
Is this our Dave?
This is Dad. Yeah, we know Dave. Yeah, remember that he's the guy that had a Husaberg and a truck out in the desert when we rode by him in the school? And he tried to sell it to me on the spot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, not Dave Donatoni.
No. I wasn't thinking of that
Yeah,
one.
different Dave. So, okay, so suspension tech. High speed and low speed compression. And the worst thing that people do is think that high speed and low speed have to do with speed on the ground.
Yeah, miles per hour.
Has nothing to do with that. It has to do with shock shaft speed. So low speed means it's moving slowly. Like imagine a roller, a bump that's a roller. A high speed is when you hit a curb and it goes very quickly. Most people cannot really feel high speed compression sort of working, and in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really, I mean, it doesn't really do exactly what you think it does, what most people think it does. But what it does do, and this is the way I like to tell people, think about it as like when you set your sag, it sets your sag while you're in motion. So if you want your bike to ride a little bit lower in the rear, open up the high speed compression. If you want it to ride higher in the rear, close down the high speed compression. This is what I use it for mostly. But if I notice that on the sharp hits, yeah, it's moving too much and I want to stiffen the high speed compression, I will almost always do it in combination with low speed. So I'll try to get rid of that feeling with the low speed first, then I'll go to high speed. I don't go straight to high speed. High speed is, I would call it effective ride height. Like when you're riding, it adjusts the ride. So the difference is essentially that treat your high speed as effective ride height, not shock shaft speed stuff. Right. Low speed damping is generally for comfort, or I want to say like kind of hold up, but hold up when the high speed, because you don't feel the high speed, it just does it. It's like when you just want it, you know, not to, when it's riding too low in the stroke, you can use both of them, but low speed is the one you want to play with most of the time. High speed is sort of like my secondary go-to. I try to fix it with low speed, then go to high speed. So one more question.
Yep. Barney Racing. Hello, Jimmy. I'm a listener of your Tech Talk Taco Tuesday and hear you sponsor plug for Taco Moto. Do you have a discount for them? ? Thank you in advance for the good podcast.
So no, we do not have discount codes, although we do have discount codes for some of our sponsors, but thanks for asking. Yeah. But Taco Moto does Roosterendo, which we didn't do tonight. We went a solid whole night of questions, right, Logan? Made the most boring Tech Talk Taco Tuesday ever.
No, we didn't do Roosterendo, man.
No Roosterendo. But Taco Moto sponsors Roosterendo, and the jackpot is getting big. I want to just get it really big so we actually get some good submissions. We could do a whole Roosterendo show.
I love Roosterendo too.
Yeah.
I like bagging on people's bikes, man.
Bagging on people's bikes. I mean, telling them how awesome they are.
But I love watching, actually, like, yeah, well, you know me. I spot people that I'm like, that bike is just like a workhorse, and I like that too.
So I have some friends that yeah, I don't. yeah, it's good. It just, I think everybody learns. Hey, somebody from the town of Husqvarna. It's 6 a.m. here, but it's good night to y'all. Oh, he's just getting up to go to work, and he's checking out. And he's not even throwing down some Australian hate vibes.
No.
This is all good. So, hey guys, I'm looking for some mapping advice on a 23 YZ250X. Send us an email. Is everybody else hearing our computer trying to blow up over there?
No,
It's telling us we have to quit.
No, it's Dave Donnelly.
Oh, it's sending tech messages and all this other stuff. Okay. Well, anyways, Jimmy, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Thanks for enjoying my Jameson.
Fun.
James.
Yeah. Jimbo
and the Addictivo.
No, whatever that.
I might
that's fantastic.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't steal stuff, but that might.
I don't know that you can get that in the States, but I know I know a guy.
I'm actually going to take a picture of it when we're done here.
Sounds good. Logan, good job.
Thanks for stealing my buttons.
Yeah.
Made my life very easy.
Yeah. It's the best show ever. And TJ, thanks for coming in. Yeah. I'll do the tire changing critique later, I guess. So, maybe I'll let you ride a Husaberg 650. But with that, everybody, thanks for hanging out.
Yep, we'll see you out on the trail.
We'll see you out on the trail right after we go to sleep. Cheers.
Yeah. Cheers.
If you liked what you saw in this video, come check us out over at dirtbiketest.com on the webs. We have bike tests, product tests, a lot of fresh dirt, and you can even support us by clicking through our links. Hopefully, we'll see you out in the trail.